You're not ambitious enough, Marcus. David has drive, real potential. That's better. That's the sentence that ended my marriage, changed my life, and cost my ex-wife the most expensive mistake she'll ever make. You're probably wondering how I know it cost her exactly $2.5 million. Well, that's what my new house is worth. The one she saw for the first time at my housewarming party, 3 weeks before what was supposed to be her wedding to David. But I'm getting ahead of myself. There are 2 types of people in this world. Those who panic when everything falls apart, and those who quietly prepare for what comes next. I learned which one I was on a Tuesday afternoon when I found the note. My name is Marcus Chun, 34 years old, software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Portland. For the past 10 years, I thought I knew exactly where my life was heading. Suburban house, reliable Honda Civic, steady job writing code for logistics software. Nothing glamorous, but solid, predictable, the kind of life that lets you sleep well at night. The note was tucked inside our copy of Eat, Pray, Love on the kitchen counter. Of course it was that book. Marcus, I can't do this anymore. You're not ambitious enough. David has drive, real potential. I'm staying at Christine's for a few days to think. We need to talk soon. Lisa, I read it twice. Set it down. Walked to the refrigerator, grabbed a beer, and sat at our dining table for exactly 30 minutes without moving. Then I called in sick to work and started making lists. Lisa and I met in college, both broke students sharing ramen noodles and textbook expenses. She was studying marketing. I was deep into computer science. We bonded over late-night study sessions and the shared understanding that we were both working our way up from nothing. Her family managed a small grocery store in rural Oregon. Mine ran a restaurant in Chinatown that barely broke even most months. We're going to be successful, she'd say, lying in our cramped dorm room bed. Not like our parents. We're going to travel, live in a real house, buy things without checking our bank account first. We got married 2 years after graduation. Nothing fancy. Immediate family only. Reception at the community center. Lisa wore her grandmother's dress. I wore a suit from JCPenney. We danced to our favorite song, while her uncle ran the photographer Judy's with his Canon from the 90s. For a while, we were happy, both working entry-level jobs, splitting a 1-bedroom apartment, saving every penny for a down payment. Lisa got promoted twice at the marketing firm. I landed the position at TechFlow Solutions. We bought our house in 2019, a 3-bedroom ranch in Beaver with a 2-car garage and a small backyard where Lisa immediately planted tomatoes. The change started about 18 months ago. Lisa joined a hot yoga studio called Lotus Flow in downtown Portland. It's expensive, she admitted, but I need something for myself. You understand, right? I did understand. We both worked long hours. Stress was a constant companion. If yoga helped her cope, I supported it completely. What I didn't anticipate was David. David Martinez, 39 years old, owner and head instructor at Lotus Flow. 6'2", perfectly sculpted muscles. Instagram account full of him doing impossible poses in exotic locations. Lisa started mentioning him after her 3rd class. David says we hold our stress in our hips. David thinks I have natural flexibility. David's opening a 2nd studio next year. I nodded along, made appropriate responses, kept writing code during the day, and reviewing architecture documents at night. I was working on something big, had been for over 2 years, but I didn't mention it to Lisa. She started coming home later, attending weekend workshops, buying expensive athleisure, where that she'd model for Instagram photos I rarely saw. The financial strain was subtle at first. Higher credit card bills. Lisa's explanations about needing proper yoga equipment, special diets, workshops with visiting instructors. I didn't argue. We weren't broke. I was pulling down $95,000 a year. Lisa made $65,000 at her firm. We could afford some lifestyle inflation. What bothered me wasn't the money. It was a shift in her. The way she'd scroll through her phone at dinner, comparing our life to what she saw online. The subtle comments about the age of our furniture, the size of our television, the make of my car. Emily's husband bought her a BMW for her birthday. She mentioned once while we were watching Netflix in our slightly cramped living room. "That's nice for Emily," I replied, not looking away from the screen. "He owns that construction company. They're building a house in West Lynn. David drives a Tesla." I finally looked at her. Good for David. She went back to her phone. The conversation ended, but something had crystallized between us, a growing distance that no amount of small talk could bridge. 3 weeks before the note, Lisa went to a retreat in Sedona with her yoga studio. David was leading it naturally. She posted photos of herself in warrior pose against red rock formations, looking serene and free. Meanwhile, I spent the weekend in my home office, working on the project that would change everything. The night she got back, we had what would be our last real conversation as a married couple. "You know what struck me?" she said, unpacking her expensive yoga gear. "Everyone there was talking about their dreams, their potential. David said something that really resonated with me." "What was that?" "He said some people are content to stay where they are, but others keep reaching for more. Which type of person do you want to be?" I closed my laptop, giving her my full attention. "I think I'm exactly where I need to be." Her expression shifted, disappointment replacing excitement. "That's the problem, Marcus. You're satisfied with good enough. David isn't. He's building something amazing, expanding his business, living his vision." "And what's my vision supposed to be?" "I don't know." The words exploded out of her. "That's what scares me. You come home, you code, you watch TV, you go to bed. Where's the ambition? Where's the drive?" I could have told her about the 127 nights I'd stayed up past 2 a.m. perfecting my algorithm, about the patent application I'd filed 6 months earlier, about the venture capital firm that had been calling me weekly since my demonstration last spring, about the prototype that 3 different companies were already bidding on. Instead, I said, "I'm working on things you don't see." "Like what?" "Just things. Trust me." She shook her head, turning back to her unpacking. David would never give me such a non-answer. 2 weeks later, I came home from work to find her in the living room with David. They were sitting on our couch, looking through what appeared to be business documents spread across our coffee table. "Marcus." Lisa's voice was bright, artificial. "You remember David from the studio?" "Of course." I shook his hand, noted his firm grip, his confident eye contact, his $300 jeans and designer t-shirt. "How's it going?" "Great, man. Just showing Lisa some expansion plans for the studio. She's got a real eye for marketing." Lisa beamed. "David's asked me to help with the business side of the new location. Isn't that exciting?" "Very exciting," I agreed, watching her animated expression, the way she kept glancing at David for approval. "When would you start?" "It's not official yet," David interjected smoothly. "Just exploring possibilities. Lisa has so much untapped potential." I nodded once, excused myself to change clothes, and spent the rest of the evening in my office. Through the thin walls, I could hear their voices, Lisa's laughter at his stories, the confident rumble of his explanations about business strategies and lifestyle optimization. That night, after David left, Lisa was unusually chatty. "He's offered me a real opportunity," she said as we got ready for bed. "Not just classes, but actual business partnership potential. Equity share if the second studio succeeds. Sounds promising. He sees something in me that—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "That maybe others don't." I brushed my teeth, said nothing. "Marcus, do you ever think about what we could be? What we could achieve if we just pushed ourselves more?" I spit, rinsed, looked at her in the mirror. Every day. But I could see in her eyes. She'd already decided. David represented everything she thought was missing from our life. Ambition she could see, taste, touch. Dreams that looked like Instagram posts and business plans. 5 days later, I found the note. The first 3 days after Lisa moved out, I worked from home. I told my boss I had food poisoning, then spent my time doing exactly what I needed to do, organizing files, securing accounts, and making phone calls that were 2 years overdue. On Thursday, Lisa came by to pick up clothes while I was at work. She left the house key on the kitchen counter next to a longer note. I know this is hard, but I need to explore what's possible with someone who shares my vision for the future. David and I are taking things slow, but there's potential there, in business and personally. I think we should start talking about dividing assets. I'll give you some time to process. I read it twice, just like the first note. Then I called James Peterson, a lawyer I'd known since college, and scheduled a meeting for the next day. Irreconcilable differences. James said after I explained the situation. Pretty standard these days. How do you want to handle assets? Give her what she's asking for. James raised an eyebrow. The house is in both names, but you've been making the mortgage payments from your account. We could argue for a larger share. No, split it down the middle. I want this clean and fast. And support? Whatever's standard. James studied me. Marcus, you sure about this? You seem almost eager to get divorced. I smiled for the first time in a week. Not eager, just prepared. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Lisa got half the house equity, about $85,000, and we split the minimal share debt. I'd moved into a one-bedroom apartment in the Pearl District, sold a Honda, and started taking Ubers everywhere. To everyone watching, including Lisa, I looked like a man downsizing his life after a financial hit. What they didn't see was a phone call I received 2 days after signing the final papers. Marcus, this is Sarah Kim from Quantum Ventures. We've been reviewing your algorithm patent, and we're prepared to make you an offer. I've been waiting for this call for 11 months. The offer was $2.8 million for exclusive licensing rights to my inventory optimization algorithm. Not groundbreaking money, but enough to completely change everything. We'll need to move quickly, Sarah explained. Amazon and Microsoft are both developing similar systems. Yours is cleaner, more scalable, and the demonstration results are exceptional. I accepted that afternoon. Within a week, I had a business manager, a financial advisor, and a very different apartment lease in mind. Within a month, I was looking at houses in Portland's most exclusive neighborhoods. Lisa had been posting regularly on social media about her new life. Photos from expensive restaurants with David, pictures of them at business conferences, updates about the new yoga studio's progress. She looked happy, vibrant, living the ambitious life she'd been craving. I stayed off social media completely during this transition. Let my actions speak quietly. The house I found was perfect. $2.5 million for bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, situated in Portland Heights with a view of the city and Mount Hood. Built in 2018, modern everything, 3-car garage, infinity pool, and a home office that was larger than our entire previous living room. I put down 40% and had the keys within 60 days. The irony wasn't lost on me. All those nights Lisa complained about my lack of ambition, I was literally coding our future. While she admired David's Instagram lifestyle and business dreams, I was building something real, something valuable, something that would change our life forever. But by the time it came to fruition, there was no our anymore. I moved in on a Saturday, spent the Sunday walking through empty rooms, planning furniture, imagining a life I never could have predicted 18 months ago. Monday, I started my new job as lead architect at TechFlow's sister company, a position that came with my consultation contract and a substantial salary increase. Tuesday evening, I got my first visitor. An envelope slipped under my door while I was on a work call upstairs. Inside was a wedding invitation. Lisa and David were engaged. I studied the elegant cardstock, the calligraphy, the venue, a winery in Yamhill County, the kind of place that requires a significant deposit and guest list management, the kind of wedding that makes a statement about the life you're building. The irony was perfect, really. Lisa had left me for someone she thought was more ambitious, more successful, more aligned with her vision of the future. And now she was marrying him while I lived in a house that cost more than David's entire business was worth. I RSVP'd yes to the wedding, then spent the next 3 weeks planning a housewarming party. The guest list was carefully curated. Former colleagues from my old and new jobs. A few neighbors from the old house who'd always liked me. James from law school. My cousin Mike, who worked in tech. Strategic choices. People who knew me before and could appreciate the transformation, but who also move in circles that overlap with Lisa's world. I hired a catering company, arranged for valet parking, had the house professionally cleaned and staged. Nothing ostentatious, just elegant, the kind of gathering that would generate exactly the right kind of conversation afterward. 3 days before the party, I ran into Christine, Lisa's best friend, at the grocery store. "Marcus, you look..." She paused, taking in my appearance. I'd gotten fit over the past few months, updated my wardrobe, grown more confident. "You look really good." "Thanks. How are things?" "Good, good. Busy with wedding planning." Lisa's so excited. "I'm sure she is." Christine shifted uncomfortably. "How are you handling everything? The divorce can't have been easy." "Actually, I'm doing well. Really well. I'm having a housewarming party this weekend. If you're free Saturday evening." Her eyes lit up. "You bought a place? That's wonderful. Where?" I gave her the address, watched her eyes widen slightly as she recognized the neighborhood. "Oh, wow, the Heights. That's a big step. Congratulations." "Thanks. Bring whoever you want. It's casual." After she walked away, I smiled to myself. Christine would absolutely tell Lisa about the party. And Lisa, being Lisa, would find a way to drive by, probably with David. I really hoped they would. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. Overcast but no rain. Temperature in the low 70s. Gentle breeze from the west. I positioned the valet stand where it would be visible from the street, made sure the front of the house was perfectly lit, and waited. Guests began arriving at 6. Mike showed up first, immediately impressed by the space. "Holy shit, Marcus. What happened? Did you rob a bank?" I handed him a drink, smiled mysteriously. "Just made some good investments." By 7, the house was full. Conversations flowed easily. People moved between the kitchen, living room, and back patio. The vibe was exactly what I'd hoped for. Successful but not pretentious. Celebratory but not overwhelming. At 7:23, I noticed a car driving slowly past the house. Too slowly. A Tesla Model S, white, exactly like the one David posted about constantly. They circled the block twice. At 7:41, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Lisa and David standing on my porch, both slightly underdressed for the setting. Lisa wore a sundress that would have been perfect for our old life, completely wrong for this moment. David wore khakis and a polo shirt that suddenly looked more Target than trendy. "Marcus." Lisa's voice was bright, surprised, carefully modulated. "Christine mentioned you were having a party. We thought we'd drop by and say congratulations." "Lisa, David, come in." I stepped aside, letting them enter. I watched David's eyes widen as he took in the foyer, the living room, the people in obviously expensive clothes holding wine glasses that cost more than our old weekly grocery budget. "This is..." Lisa paused, looking around. "This is your place." "It is..." How did you..." "Let me give you the tour." I led them through the main floor, watching their faces. David kept glancing around like he was trying to calculate square footage and property values. Lisa moved in slight shock, running her fingers along surfaces, staring at details. "The kitchen," I said, gesturing to the island that could seat 8 people. "The dining room seats 12 comfortably. Living room with the fireplace and built-ins." We walked toward the back of the house. "Family room for bedrooms upstairs. Home office just down that hall." David finally spoke. "Man, this place must cost." "About 2.5, I said casually. 2.5 million? Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. "Yeah. Would you like to see the backyard?" I opened the sliding doors to reveal the infinity pool, the outdoor kitchen, the view of the city sprawling below us. Several guests were out there, laughing and enjoying the evening. Lisa stood frozen at the threshold. "Marcus," she said finally, turning to face me. "How is this possible? When we divorced, you were... how did you..." I smiled, the same patient smile I'd given her 100 times during our marriage when she questioned my ambition. Remember when I told you I was working on things you couldn't see? She nodded slowly. I filed a patent for an algorithm I developed. It was acquired 6 months ago. David looked confused. Acquired? Like someone bought your work? For $2.8 million, yes. The silence stretched between us. Around us, the party continued. Conversations and laughter creating a backdrop to this moment I've been unconsciously planning for months. Why didn't you tell me? Lisa asked, and for the first time since they'd arrived, she sounded like the woman I'd married. Confused, hurt, genuinely wanted to understand. I tried to, I said quietly. Remember? I'm working on things you don't see. You said David would never give you such a non-answer. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Lisa, David said, his hand finding her elbow. Maybe we should. Go ahead and enjoy the party, I interrupted smoothly. Food's in the kitchen, bars set up in the dining room. I should check on other guests. I walked away, leaving them standing by the doors to the backyard. For the next hour, I played the perfect host. Mingled with guests, shared stories about the house, avoided checking where Lisa and David were at any moment. But I knew they stayed for exactly 43 minutes, made polite conversation with two couples, declined food and drinks, and left without saying goodbye. James found me as I was cleaning up the kitchen later that night. So that was Lisa and the yoga instructor? Yeah. Awkward. I handed him a leftover appetizer. Not really. Just closure. You planned this, didn't you? The party. The timing. Having Christine invite them. I rinsed a wine glass. Consider the question. I plan to move on with my life. I plan to succeed. If that created a certain narrative contrast, well, that's just how things worked out. James laughed. Marcus Chun, you magnificent bastard. Over the next few weeks, the story circulated exactly as I'd expected it would. The guy Lisa left because he wasn't ambitious enough had been sitting on a multi-million-dollar patent the whole time. The stable, boring husband she discarded for someone more exciting had quietly built the exact future she claimed to want. But here's what made everything truly satisfying. I didn't have to do anything dramatic. I didn't sabotage David's business or spread rumors about their relationship. I didn't post on social media or make public statements. I just succeeded. And sometimes the best revenge is simply becoming the person you were always meant to be. 3 weeks after the housewarming party, I received a text message at 1:47 a.m. I can't stop thinking about the party. Can we talk? Please? Lisa. I stare at my phone for several minutes. The message sat there, glowing in the darkness of my new master bedroom, demanding a response I wasn't sure I wanted to give. I didn't reply. The next morning brought clarity with the sunrise. I was making coffee in my pristine kitchen when I heard the unmistakable sound of a car pulling into my driveway. Through the window, I saw Lisa's old Honda Accord, the same car we bought together 4 years ago, the one she kept because David's Tesla lease had 2 years remaining. The doorbell rang twice before I opened it. Hey, she said, looking tired, older somehow than just a few weeks ago. I know you didn't answer my text, but I had to come. Lisa. I stepped aside, letting her in. She walked to the living room, moving like she was seeing it for the first time all over again. The morning light makes it even more beautiful. Coffee, I offered. Please. I poured 2 cups, added cream to hers the way she'd always liked it. Some habits die hard. Marcus, I need to know something, she said, wrapping her hands around the mug. Was I completely blind? All those months I was complaining about your lack of ambition. You were secretly building this. I sat across from her, choosing my words carefully. It wasn't secret. Exactly. I just didn't realize you needed a PowerPoint presentation to know I was working on something important. She flinched. That's fair. But why didn't you fight for us? When I left, when I filed papers, you just let me go. I sipped my coffee, studying her face. The woman who'd once shared my dreams, my bed, my life. What would you have wanted me to do? Beg you to stay with someone you'd already decided wasn't enough? I don't know. Yes? Maybe? Tears started forming at the corners of her eyes. I keep thinking about that last conversation we had. about ambition and drive. And now I'm realizing that while I was criticizing you for being content with good enough, you were literally building our dream life. Not our dream life, I corrected gently. Your dream life. There's a difference. She was quiet for a long moment. I made a terrible mistake. Lisa, no, let me say this. David isn't, we aren't. She stopped, started again. The business is struggling. The second studio never opened. He owes money to investors, including my entire savings. And I'm sitting here in a house that costs more than he'll probably make in the next 5 years, drinking coffee with a man who actually was everything I said I wanted. I felt something I hadn't expected. Pity, not satisfaction, not vindication. Just sadness of the path she'd chosen. I'm sorry things are difficult, I said. I really am. Are you? She looked at me sharply. Because part of me thinks you planned all of this. The timing of everything, the party right before my wedding. It feels like you wanted me to see what I was missing. I set down my coffee cup. Do you want the truth? She nodded. I didn't plan to time anything. The patent deal closed when it closed. I bought this house because I wanted it, not because I wanted to prove something to you. But yes, when I found out about your engagement, I invited people who would connect our worlds because I wanted to live my life fully, without hiding what I'd accomplished. And what about me? Did you want to see it? I was quiet for a moment. Maybe I did. She laughed, but wasn't happy. God, I deserve that. I deserve all of this. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Where are you? We need to talk about the venue deposit. Lisa saw me glance at the screen. He doesn't know I'm here. He thinks I'm at work. Are you still planning to marry him? Her face crumpled. I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. The wedding's in 2 months. Deposits are paid. Invitations are sent. But Marcus, I can't stop thinking that I had everything I wanted, and I threw it away because I didn't recognize it. I wanted to feel vindicated. This was it, the moment where she realized her mistake, where karma came full circle. But looking at her sitting in my living room, in the house she could have helped choose, wearing the engagement ring from a man who'd proven to be exactly as superficial as I'd suspected, I just felt tired. What do you want me to say, Lisa? I don't know. That there's a chance? That you forgive me? That maybe we could... No. I said it firmly, but not harshly. We can't. She started to speak, but I held up a hand. You left because you thought I wasn't ambitious enough. But the real problem wasn't my ambition. It was that you didn't trust me enough to believe I was building something. You preferred David's flashy promises over my quiet progress. That's not something we can just fix with an apology. But I was wrong. You were wrong about my financial situation, but you weren't wrong about us. We wanted different versions of success, different kinds of communication. You needed excitement and visible progress. I needed patience and trust. Those differences don't disappear just because the circumstances changed. She sat there, tears flowing freely now. So what happens now? Now you live your life, and I live mine. You make whatever choice feels right about David and the wedding. And in a few years, maybe we could be friendly when we run into each other at the grocery store. She stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the pool. Do you hate me? No, I said and meant it. I'm not angry anymore. I'm actually grateful. Grateful? She turned surprised. You leaving forced me to build a life entirely for myself. This house, this success, this confidence. I never would have pushed myself here if I'd been comfortable in our old life. She wiped her eyes. You're saying I did you a favor by breaking your heart? I'm saying that sometimes people need to lose what they have to become who they're supposed to be. After she left, I spent the day working in my home office, reviewing code for a new project. Around dinner time, my phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus? This is David. David Martinez. We met at your party. David, what can I do for you? I think we should talk. Man to man. I almost smiled. About what? About Lisa. About what's happening. I know she came to see you today. And I think you're fucking with my life. The accusation hung between us. I could have gotten angry, defended myself. Instead, I asked, "How's the yoga studio doing?" That's none of your business. You're right. It's not. Just like my conversation with Lisa isn't any of yours. She's my fiancée. She's also a grown woman who can make her own choices about who she talks to. A pause. You show up out of nowhere with all this money, this house, this lifestyle, right before our wedding. You expect me to believe that's a coincidence. David, are you asking me to apologize for succeeding? I'm asking you to stop trying to steal my girl. I laughed, couldn't help it. I'm not trying to steal anyone. Lisa made her choice when she left me for you. If she's questioning that choice now, that's between you and her. But you're not exactly discouraging her confusion, are you? He had a point. I thought about Lisa sitting in my kitchen this morning, looking around at the life we could have had. What would you like me to do, David? Leave her alone. Stop accepting her calls. Don't answer if she comes by. Let us work through this without interference. And if I don't, then I'll make this very public. Your ex-wife's fiancé will have some interesting things to say about your timing, your motives, your little revenge fantasy. Now I was interested. What exactly do you think happened here? I think you found out about our engagement and decided to blow up our lives. Probably been planning it since the divorce. I stood up, walking to my office window. David, can I give you some advice? What? Stop trying to control what other people think about you. Stop trying to manage Lisa's feelings. And maybe focus on fixing whatever problems are making her question your relationship instead of blaming external factors. Fuck you, man. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that happy fiancés don't show up at their ex-husband's house at dawn, crying about mistakes. I heard him breathing heavily. Finally, stay away from her. Or what? But he'd already hung up. That evening, I had dinner with Mike, my cousin who worked in tech. We met at a small Italian place downtown, nothing fancy. So word around town is you're living your best divorce life, he said over pasta. Something like that. And your ex-wife left you for a yoga instructor who's broke? I raised an eyebrow. Where'd you hear that? Portland's a small town when it comes to gossip. Plus, Christine brings her kids to my kids' soccer games. She mentioned some drama at your party. Mike took a drink of wine. You know what's funny? What? I always thought Lisa was the ambitious one in your marriage. She was always posting about career goals, lifestyle goals, pushing for bigger things. She was... But you're the one who actually achieved them. I considered that. Maybe we had different definitions of ambition. She wanted immediate, visible success. I was willing to work in the dark for longer-term payoff. And now I'm building a life I actually want instead of one I think I should want. My phone buzzed with text. Lisa again. David knows I came to see you. He's angry. Things are getting complicated. I showed Mike the message. What do you think I should do? He shrugged. Depend what you want. You want to get her back? Honestly? No. We're different people than we were when we got married. She's not wrong about us growing apart. Then tell her that. Clearly. I typed back. I understand. I think we both need space to figure out our futures separately. I wish you the best with whatever decision you make. 3 days later, the news spread through our mutual friends. Lisa had postponed the wedding. Not canceled, postponed. Need time to be sure was the official reason given to guests. I heard about it from James, who heard it from his wife, who heard it from Christine. Think she'll call you, he asked. Probably, but that's not my crisis to manage anymore. 2 weeks passed quietly. I threw myself into work, took weekend trips to Seattle and San Francisco, started dating again for the first time in 12 years. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinners with women who knew nothing about my previous life. Then, on a Tuesday evening, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, I saw a figure I didn't immediately recognize. Short, balding, wearing an expensive suit. I opened the door to find a man in his 50s, holding an envelope. Marcus Chen? Yes. I'm Robert Winters, attorney for David Martinez. This is a cease and desist letter regarding harassment of Mr. Martinez's fiancée. I took the envelope, genuinely curious. Harassment. Ongoing contact with Lisa Martinez. Mr. Martinez considers this interference with his relationship and potential disruption of his business ventures. I opened the letter, skimmed it quickly. Standard legal intimidation, no real substance. Mr. Winters, are you aware that Lisa initiated all contact between us? That's irrelevant. We're asking you to stop responding to those contacts. And if I don't, we'll explore legal options. I looked at this man, standing on my $1,000,000 porch, delivering threats written by a yoga instructor who was apparently even more desperate than I'd realized. Mr. Winters, may I ask how much Mr. Martinez is paying you for this service? He looked uncomfortable. That's confidential. Because I'm guessing it's more than he can afford right now. Mr. Chun, tell your client that I have no interest in interfering with his relationship. I also have no intention of ignoring phone calls or visits from anyone who wants to talk to me. If he has concerns about his fiancée's behavior, perhaps he should address those concerns with his fiancée. I started to close the door, then paused. Oh, and Mr. Winters? Next time you want to deliver meaningless legal threats, maybe don't do it at rush hour in Tuesday traffic. Parking meters probably expired on your BMW. That weekend, I decided to host another gathering. Smaller this time, more intimate. Just close friends, good food, relaxed atmosphere. Saturday evening, about 15 people filled my living room. Conversation flowed easily. Work stories, travel plans, someone's new relationship. Normal, healthy, drama-free. At 9:30, the doorbell rang again. I opened it to find Lisa and David together, both dressed up like they were coming from somewhere formal. Marcus, Lisa said, her voice carefully neutral. Can we come in? Actually, I have guests right now. We know, David said. We were hoping to speak with you, all of us together. I glanced back at my friends, all pretending not to watch but obviously curious about the drama unfolding at my front door. 5 minutes, I said, stepping onto the porch and closing the door behind me. Lisa looked tired, dark circles under her eyes, that hollow look of someone not sleeping well. David looked angry, which seemed to be his default expression lately. We've made a decision, Lisa announced. I waited. We're moving forward with the wedding. Next month instead of waiting until September. Congratulations, I said, meaning it. And we want to clear the air, David added. We want you to know that Lisa and I have talked through everything and we're solid. I nodded. Good for you. That's it. Lisa asked, just good for you? What else would you like me to say? I don't know. Something. Anything. Her voice cracked slightly. We're about to get married, Marcus. Doesn't that mean anything to you? I looked at both of them standing there on my porch. Two people trying so hard to convince me they were happy that they'd driven across town to tell me about it. Lisa, I was married to you for 10 years. I loved you completely. When you left, it devastated me. But that was almost 8 months ago. I built a new life, and you're building yours. Your wedding doesn't diminish what we had, and it doesn't affect what I have now. So that's it. David interjected. You're just over it? I'm not carrying anger about it, if that's what you're asking. Lisa stepped forward. What if I said I made a mistake? What if I said I wanted to try again? The question hung in the air between us. Behind the door, I could hear my friends' laughter, the clink of glasses, the sounds of people enjoying their lives without complications. Then I'd say you should figure that out before you get married, not after. David's face reddened. You're still playing games, aren't you? Acting all calm and wise when really you're hoping we'll fuck this up. David, I said quietly, I don't care enough about your relationship to hope anything about it. I care that you both find happiness. But I'm not responsible for that happiness, and I'm not the obstacle preventing it. Come on, Lisa. We don't need this, David said, taking her hand. We came here to be the bigger people, and we have been. As they walked toward the car, Lisa turned back one more time. I'm sorry, Marcus. For all of it. I know you are. Be happy, Lisa. You deserve that. I watched them drive away, then went back inside to rejoin my friends. Someone handed me a drink, and the conversation picked up where it had left off. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on my deck overlooking the city. The lights twinkled below, peaceful and constant. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Christine. Lisa asked me to tell you something. She wanted you to know that seeing your success didn't make her question David. It made her question herself. She realizes now that she defined success by what others thought, not by what actually mattered. She hopes you understand why she's moving forward anyway. Some mistakes you have to live with." I read it twice, then deleted it. 2 days later, I received a wedding invitation in the mail. Hotel Lucia, downtown Portland, October 15th. Much smaller venue than their original plan. I RSVP'd no. The wedding day arrived with unusual sunshine for Portland in October. I spent the morning working in my garden, something I'd never done before buying this house, but had grown to love. There's something satisfying about planting things that will bloom long after you've forgotten effort. Around 3 p.m., as I was installing a new sprinkler head, my neighbor Janet called over the fence. "Marcus, you have visitors." I came around front to find 2 people I didn't recognize getting out of a car. "Mr. Chun?" The woman, mid-30s, professional smile. "I'm Rebecca Torres from Portland Business Journal. We like to do a feature story about local tech success stories. Your algorithm patent sale and lifestyle change caught our attention." I almost laughed. Of all days. "I'm not really interested in publicity," I said. "We understand. But your story resonates with a lot of people. The quiet developer who builds something valuable, gets divorced, then emerges as a success story. It's inspirational." The photographer was already taking pictures of my house, my garden, me in my weekend clothes with dirt under my fingernails. "Especially interesting how your ex-wife left you for someone she thought was more ambitious, only to—" "That's enough," I interrupted. "I'm not interested in any story that exploits my personal life for entertainment. But surely you can appreciate the irony." "There's no irony. There's just life. People make choices, face consequences, and hopefully learn something. That's not a feature story. That's just being human." Rebecca tried a different approach. "What would you say to other people going through similar situations? Divorce, career setbacks, feeling like life is passing them by?" I considered the question. Focus on building something real instead of competing with other people's illusions. Success you build quietly is often more lasting than success you perform publicly. And your ex-wife's wedding today? Any thoughts? I stared at her. "You came here on her wedding day specifically for my reaction?" She had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. "Well, please leave my property." After they left, I went back to my garden, finished installing the sprinkler, watered the new plantings, cleaned my tools. Simple, methodical work that kept my hands busy and my thoughts clear. That evening, I attended a different kind of gathering. My high school friend's 40th birthday party. People I'd known for decades, celebrating someone who'd chosen teaching over tech, who measured success in students' reach rather than money earned. Around 10 p.m., as I was leaving, my phone buzzed with a message from James. "Thought you want to know. David and Lisa were married this afternoon. Small ceremony. Immediate family only. They left town immediately for their honeymoon." I typed back, "Hope they're happy." He responded, "You okay?" I looked around the parking lot, at my car, at the life I'd built piece by piece. "Yeah, I'm good." 3 months later, I was having lunch with Mike when he brought up a rumor he'd heard. So apparently David's studio declared bankruptcy. They're divorced already. I continued eating my salad. "Marcus, did you hear what I said?" "I heard you. Don't you want to know the details?" I looked at my cousin, good-hearted guy who'd been following this drama like a soap opera for almost a year. "Not really. Come on. You must be curious." I set down my fork. "Mike, here's what I've learned. Other people's failures don't validate your success. Lisa's choices, good or bad, don't define my worth. I spent too many years tying my self-esteem to our marriage. I won't spend the rest of my life tying it to our divorce. He nodded slowly. That's very mature of you. It's just true. My phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Marcus? This is Lisa. I know I have no right to contact you, but I need to tell you something. You were right about everything. I'm sorry. I read it, then showed Mike. You gonna respond? I thought about it for a long moment. Then I typed, I wish you well, Lisa. Take care of yourself. That was the last time we ever spoke. 6 months after that lunch, I started seeing someone seriously. Sarah, an architect I met through work. She was building her own career, had her own ambitions, asked thoughtful questions about my projects, but never seemed to need them validated. I heard you were married before, she said one evening as we cooked dinner together in my kitchen. It didn't work out. Want to talk about it? I chopped vegetables, considered the question. Someday, maybe, but not because the past is haunting me. Only because I want you to understand how I got here. She smiled, kissed my cheek, went back to stirring the sauce. A year later, we were engaged. 2 years later, we were married in a small ceremony in my garden. 3 years later, Sarah was pregnant with our first child. And sometimes when I'm pushing my daughter on the swing set in our backyard, I think about that note I found in the kitchen so many years ago, about Lisa's search for ambition and drive and visible success, about how we both had to lose what we thought we wanted to find what we actually needed. But mostly, I just focus on the present. The sound of my daughter's laughter, the feeling of Sarah's hand in mine, the satisfaction of building something real, something lasting, something that doesn't need to be performed or demonstrated or proven to anyone else. The best revenge, I learned, isn't proving them wrong. It's building a life so fulfilling that you forget why you needed revenge in the first place.